Hey, how are you?
I'm really good, Joe. Thanks so much for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for the few people that may not know who you are and what you do, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure thing. So my name's Em, and I go online by Emzotic. I am a digital animal educator, and I like to create content to help people make better and healthier choices for their exotic pets.
Absolutely, and I know that's definitely you're an advocate of that. I know from your past and so forth. And so on. What is your background in all of this? You had overseas. You had worked with like a rescue or some sort of animal. I know you worked in a very big animal facility.
Oh, absolutely. I've been working with animals since I was about 10. I started in a pet store, then I moved into dog rescue, so helping to train and rehome dogs that were originally feral, bringing them in, training them, and placing them in homes. And then in the UK, I actually worked as a zookeeper for various exotic animals. And I also worked for one of the UK's largest private collections of exotic animals. So I would train and raise giant Indian fruit bats, spring hare, armadillos, all these amazing different kinds of creatures. And that's really where I learned so much about animals that I now share my life with. And I try and share that passion digitally with the world.
Awesome, that's awesome stuff. And I can see just in your facial expression the passion you have, right?
I'm
Yeah.
glad that it translates.
No, absolutely. Sadly enough, when you're in this industry, some people think that we're here only to exploit animals. And I don't think that that's been the case. It's not the case in our store, although, of course, having a store, you're always going to have that stigma attached to you by some people. By the right side of the crowd is always going to turn around and say, oh, well, you just exploit the animals. When meanwhile, we do everything we possibly can to advocate the animal, to externalize the animal. Educate.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you've got a great store there. I haven't seen the new updated store, so that is one great reason for me to come back to New Jersey to see your new updated store. But even your older store was already fantastic. I loved going in there and just seeing how much passion and care that you give to the animals that you have.
Well, I appreciate that, and I definitely would love for you to see the new store. We went above and beyond with this store. We wanted to create more, not as more of an experience, but as much of an experience as it was for the animals. As I always say, it's a passion, it's a hobby. My feeling has always been when people come here, it's different than taking a trip to the supermarket, and taking a trip to the gas station. This is coming here to to see what you love. And so what we did, we created a world for people like us, people that love the animals. We didn't just stick glass cages in and throw animals in. We decorated, we made fake trees and the whole 9 yards, just to kind of give people a really cool place to go.
It's great. It looks so enriching. And the wonderful thing about the store that I've noticed just from watching your social media is that by giving the animals much more than the minimum that you would see in, say, a large chain pet store, is you can really invigorate and spark people's imagination so that they go, I really love this creature. I can see that it would fit in with my lifestyle, and I want to replicate something this awesome in my house.
Yeah. And that was the goal. The goal was to give people ideas and let them see it. And like you said, almost we feel as though when you step in the store, we want you to feel like you're walking in. You're not in Lodi, New Jersey. You're walking into something that has a little more experience. We have the sights, the sounds, fortunately, sometimes the smells as well that come along with animals. But we have an experience here. So we're very proud of it. And we're happy with the way that the industry has taken us. And we feel humble in the fact that our work has paid off.
An experience for all the senses. What more could somebody ask for? It's a truly authentic experience. And actually, Joe, I have to ask you because there are so many various store owners out there for exotic pets. And their stores, they can try their best, but it's just not what you have going on there. How did you begin to conceptualize this? Was this a meeting that you had internally, or was this something that you dreamt up and you started to sketch it out? How did you bring this to life?
Well, the funny thing about it is we were outgrowing the small store, the little store that you could talk about. We were outgrowing. So I just started to look for a bigger space. When we found this space, as funny as it may sound, the whole conceptualization and the whole idea came down to me sitting with my wife. I had a piece of paper and I just looked around and I just started drawing boxes. And I said, okay, we're going to make a farm full of small animals. We're going to give the rabbits, instead of keeping them in cages, we're going to give them pens. We're going to make it look like when you walk in this side, my imagination took me to walking into like an old school farm type there, where you go and you see your animals. Then as we went into the reptiles, obviously, there's certain husbandry that we have to incorporate into our designs. We need to make sure that the hot animals are hot, the cold animals are cold. So when you do that inside of one facility, you have to pretty much plan for that. So our store works open air, cool air from one side in the farm, because we both know rabbits don't like hot weather. Chinchillas don't like hot weather. None of the animals like it to be hot. But now, 75 feet away from them, I have a room that maintains 100 degrees. Because I got 90 degrees. Because I have snakes, I have, your bearded dragons and so forth. So once I started drawing, in about 15, 20 minutes, we drew out a bunch of squares. And then I said, okay, let's build. And I have very good guys who work with me. And we put it together. And fortunately, you tweak it as you go. It's like setting up one of your cages. You put the plants in. You don't like it, you take them out, you move them around until it's aesthetically pleasing. We did that here as well, and then we wound up with the end product. So there was really no deep thought. It was just, okay, this is what we need. Let's get the animals covered, and now let's decorate.
I love that. One of my passions is understanding the pet industry as a whole, because it has changed so much over the decades that I've been lucky enough to be a part of our community, and to see the way that people are elevating standards just brings me so much joy. So I would love to know which enclosure, which section of your store are you most proud of?
It's not a fun question, but it's a funny answer. I'm actually proud of the entire thing, which is rare in my work, because I design and build things for a living.
Yes.
When you design and build things for a living, you tend to design it, build it, look at it, and say, wow, but if I was to redo it, I would do it this way. The store as a whole, I'm proud of completely. I have no disappointments in the way anything came out, which is rare. When you're building something, you always tend to step back and look at it and say, well, if I could do it again, I would move this here. This actually, I have to say, worked out perfect. One of my prouder achievements is what's sitting right behind me is the 1,490-gallon glass fish tank, which in the industry is considered impossible.
Wow.
That's way bigger than you normally would see a glass tank. Acrylic, you can go to the moon. Acrylic, you can build something shampoo can do. But this is this is the biggest I've ever built. As all of them, when I build them, when we fill it, I tell everybody, stand away, because I don't know whether it's going to explode. Because when you're building a tank, the glass company tells you that the glass can't hold it. The silicone company tells you the silicone will not hold it. So in other words, all the variables behind me are people, the manufacturers, the people who make the product, say, listen, you can't build a tank. You can't use that. It will not hold that much water, because water is heavy, and the reality, and water moves. So that's something that I'm proud of. But the store as a whole, I don't think I would change anything, but even if I could.
That's incredible. You guys have just innovated something that hasn't been done before. And that takes a certain amount of courage, as it does to invest so much in a store and hope that it pays off for the customers, yourself as a business, for the animals. That is really awesome. Where do you go next from here now that you have created such a wonderland?
Well, our goal going forward is we're actually looking to get a little bit more into the interactive experience. Now, unfortunately, in the state of New Jersey, where we reside, it's a little difficult. There's a lot of regulations on what you can actually safely interact with and so forth. So, for example, and at one point, I believe you owned a skunk, correct? You have a skunk.
I did. Yeah, I had two.
So if someone comes in to purchase a skunk, technically I can't let you hold it. In the store, technically I can't let you hold it. By the law, I can't let you hold it. I can let you carry it out of here when you purchase it. So there's kind of a gray area in the law that, let's say, I may not agree with, but unfortunately the law is the law. So the reality of it is we'd like to go to a more interactive experience where it's almost an indoor zoo of sorts where we can educate people. They can come in. We started doing a lot of parties, so now we do exotic encounters, and those are very fulfilling because kids nowadays spend 90% of their time in front of a screen. All their information is coming from a screen. I have a 2-year-old daughter that can navigate a phone better than I.
Wow.
So, she goes in, she wipes her thing, she stops it, she puts on something else. This is what they do. And unfortunately, in my opinion, it's taking away from a little bit more of the experience because we can watch it on YouTube or Netflix or this and that, but actually interacting with it is fun. So that's what we're going towards. We're trying to do more interactive experiences. We're trying to do more parties. We're trying to do more educational events, bringing the public and the husbandry and the love and the care and everything else. Like, for example, to get not off topic, but in the weeks of Easter, we don't sell rabbits. Right. We're one of the only pet stores that I know of that puts up signs 2 weeks before. We do not sell rabbits 2 weeks preceding Easter, and we resume selling them afterwards. And the reason we do that is because the rabbit, as you know, needs a tremendous amount of care.
Yes.
They're fragile, especially when they're small. They're fragile animals. And even though we've taken heat through the years for selling rabbits, we try to do it consciously. I have a 3-page care sheet that comes along with a rabbit telling you exactly how to be successful. But growing up in the United States, if you watch Bugs Bunny, he chomps on carrots all day. So someone buys a little baby bunny, they want to stick a carrot in its mouth, not knowing the adverse effects of it. So, for example, we do stuff like that to educate people and to make successful pet owners. Because in my world, I feel as though if you make a successful pet owner, especially at a young age, then you're going to have the future Emzotic or the future Megan, who's been doing this their whole lives and has retained the passion and the knowledge and has a lust to continue learning about this, as opposed to, I got a rabbit for Easter and he pooped a lot and mom got rid of him. That doesn't help the hobby. That doesn't help the industry.
No, absolutely. And I think you've really found a wonderful way to be a bridge between what people need to know and the educational side of running a pet store and your responsibility to help people make those good decisions, as well as the entertainment factor. Because today's generations, especially the younger generations, it is all about entertainment and also being able to translate a lot of the messages that you have in very quick formats. It's all short form content, bite-sized content. You've got to grab people, tell them what they need to know, and then hope that they retain that. So being able to really find and be that bridge, I think, takes a tremendous amount of effort. It takes a tremendous amount of being very conscientious and understanding your role and responsibility as a store. But it's so heartwarming to me to see stores like yours stepping up and not being afraid to try something different, because 10 years ago, nobody had a pet store podcast or behind the scenes footage of how their team works with animals. This is all very new in the last decade or so. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this as the years progress and as the decades roll on. It's seeing stores become miniature TV shows in a way to get their message across.
Absolutely. It's like out there in California, prehistoric pets. I mean, he's to the point now that I think he's got something going on Roku.
He does. Yeah, that's Jay Brewer.
Yeah, Jay. When I met him, we walked in his place about 12, 13 years ago. Back then, it was prior to all of this. Jay was a phenomenal guy. We walked in, we met him. He knew us from Adam. He didn't know anything about us, didn't know anything about why we were there. Told him I had a store in Jersey, told him I was out there buying fish, because at the time I was very big into fish. He gave us a behind the scenes tour that took about 5.5 hours. And
Wow.
without asking, hey, come with us. Steve was with us from Leaping Lychee.
Yes.
And he just took us through. He opened up every drawer. He showed us snakes. He showed us every different snake room, everything. Let us hold, touch, do whatever we wanted. Just a phenomenal guy. And there's a refreshment in seeing that now he's become such a sensation, all of this, because the accolades that he has, he deserves. Of course, with that comes a lot of negative press. So if you read if he puts up a post and you read about it, next thing you know, it's all this nonsense with people and their opinions. But we both know, and we've seen. I'm sure you've been to his place. His place is phenomenal. He takes great care of it. And it's nice to see the accolades because sometimes we do have to defend ourselves. And that's where Megan comes into play. She says, I spend hours with people and they don't listen to me, and or else they go off to Petco and then they get the wrong information and I have to argue with them. So that's, being a store owner is not the easiest thing. Learning to not pay attention to the negativity that is inherently part of this industry, learning to just shut it off. I mean, I've had people tell me your mother should die because you sell animals. Like,
right.
And as a man, tell me my mother should die, I'm going to come back at you. But I've learned at this point to just say, okay, that's your opinion, and I move on.
That's honestly the healthiest way to, I think, deal with it. And I also just have to jump on here and say that over the years, I've had to humble myself greatly to the way that I look at other people in the industry, because coming from Europe, especially, the standard is very different. Now, I won't say better or worse. There are people both sides of the Atlantic that do things very, very well and could do much better. But I will say that passion does not lie, and intention you cannot fake. And over the years, I have to say that Jay has been one person who has always pushed for collaboration over competition. And it is so inspiring to see. And it's very rare to see someone with such success and genuine love and passion for what they do hold the door open with opportunity and invite people through. And no matter how many times people will come at Jay or at Brian for how many different things they've done right or wrong, they still maintain on their course, just doing their best. Everybody is trying their best in their own ways, and I fully respect that.
I do as well, and I'm in that same boat. Like I can sit here in my podcast or mention Brian, because the way I look at it as an industry is we're all in it for the same reason, for the animals. People would say, no, that's not why you're in it. You're in it only for the money. Listen, I have a full-time job other than owning a pet store. If a pet store was that lucrative, I wouldn't have a full-time job. And I have a big pet store, so I still have to maintain a full-time job to feed my family. So it's not that it's only about the money. Of course, the money's part of it, because without money, we don't let the wheels continue to turn. But I don't count this. And even like Brian. Brian, I mean, listen, let's face it, he started his career having people get bit on YouTube by snakes. That was his career. And people criticized him for it. But Jackass did it, so people laughed at him. It came along, he did it. Everybody criticized him for it, but he's a phenomenal guy. When we did our show in Teaneck, he came out, which was rare for him to do so at that point. Yes. And he cares about the animals. Lo and behold, he cares about the animals. And he shows you a factor of owning a snake. If you own a snake, there's a very good chance you're going to get bit. It's part of the game. So he didn't show you anything that doesn't normally happen. He wasn't endangering the animal, that's for sure.
Right. And I think there's something to be said for finding the bridge between education and entertainment. And to have both of them, I think, is still very important. So I like to call a lot of YouTubers, including myself, edutainers. And I think there's plenty of space for that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm going to turn this over to Megan so you two can chat. I know you guys have a longer history than you and I do, but it was great seeing you, and I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll see you soon in the talk.
Absolutely. And congratulations, Joe, on everything you've achieved there. I respect it.
Thank you so much.
Megan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am so well. And do you know who else is doing really well?
Who?
Dobby, the ferret that I got from you in 2016.
Wow. So wow, he's kind of old. That's good.
She's up there, she's mostly blind now.
Oh,
I beg your pardon?
she's petite, right? She's very small.
Very, very small. She was one, I believe, that you had in from somewhere in Florida a long time ago. But she is just incredible. I love her. And every time I see her, I'm like, oh, Megan sold me Dobby.
I remember that very so cute.
She's gorgeous.
Awesome. And I like the Zen habitats in the background. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we've got a whole variety here. I've got some Chinese water dragons behind me, which are my breeding pair. I adore Chinese water dragons. I also have my very basic rescue beardy behind me as well. He was just a $30 beardy. Then I've got a 20-year-old toki gecko up in this enclosure.
Nice.
And over here, I have a really cool snake that most people will never, ever get to see here in the United States. She's called a rain snake. And it's like the reins of a horse, a rain snake. She's incredible. She's solid blue, amazing rat snake.
Cool. Before we're done, if you could pull them out so everyone could see them.
Yeah, well, she is somewhere far, far away. I can try, but she is very, very well hidden.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, maybe we'll start selling some Zen habitats.
That would be amazing. They're really good enclosures, and they're available in bamboo and the black as well. Now, a lot of people like black enclosures, so we came out with a whole black line too.
Yes, I'm a fan of the black ones, but the bamboo looks really nice. What about my house though? Everything's black and very spooky in my house, but yeah.
I love that. You know, it's so cool to see how we can love the same animals and have very different aesthetics. And that's just so exciting to me.
Yep. Awesome. So everything's good with you?
Yeah, everything's really good. I've got my Kiba down here. Hi. He's just looking up now.
Yep.
He's so gorgeous. My dog is my whole life.
All my dogs have no hair, so he's literally the opposite of my dogs.
You know, we could just collect up my dog's shed hair over the year and create several sweaters for all of your naked animals.
Yes. I only have naked mammals and reptiles. Fine. I have a kinkajou and a coatimundii. They have hair. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Not a ton of hair, but yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So we're going to ask, if that's okay, a couple questions.
Absolutely. Fire away.
Oh, yeah. So first of all, just want to say I never met Ryan, but I know you were friends with him. Just want to say sorry. I never got a chance to go out there. I really wanted to, once at least, but I never got a chance to go out there. But we all feel terrible. His video makes you want to cry, even though you don't know him. Very sad. He's awesome. I mean, everybody always talks about the Reptarium when they come here. They say it's like a similar vibe. Unfortunately, in New Jersey, we're not allowed to let people touch animals too much. There's so many regulations. But I wish we could do something like the Reptarium, in the future in a different state. So people interacting with animals is a whole different, safely, is a whole different experience than just coming and looking at them. But I really like that idea that he let people interact with reptiles and get a hands-on, feeling for them.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to me when I do think of Brian, because for so many years he's meant so much to the hobby in terms of animal edutainment. But to me, he's always been Brian, my friend, and he has been in my life from way before I was ever on YouTube. He came and visited me in London, I think in 2014 or 2013, when I had nothing going on for myself other than this passion for reptiles. And he came over and let me cook for him. And I was literally nobody. And he still made the time. And he has maintained being my friend all throughout my growth and my successes. And, we've had our ups and downs, but it's very heartbreaking to see how things have turned out for Brian, especially in these last few days where his battle is coming to an end. But I think he is proof that it's truly not about the amount of years that you live. It is the amount of life you pack into those years, and nobody would accuse him of not living a tremendous life.
Yeah. Hopefully he's okay, not suffering, and hopefully, I feel bad. Sorry.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I never got a chance to meet him, but I'm sure he was an amazing, awesome guy.
Yeah, his energy is
The energy. Yeah, exactly.
So it's going back to YouTube or meter therapy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
Well,
mentioned like at the beginning there, he was nobody in.
okay. So we have a question. What made you start your YouTube channel?
Well, I started my YouTube channel because I was working as an animal educator. So that means packing up my van every day with about 30 different animals, from birds of prey to ferrets, crocodilians, all these really awesome animals, and traveling across the UK with them. And I was doing, between 200 and 300 miles a day, setting up in different locations, different age ranges, and trying to teach people and give them a hands-on, safe experience with these animals. So sometimes it would be a birthday party, which was more fun. And sometimes it would be about life cycles or evolution. I even went into museums, even prisons, sometimes for prisoners who are on good behavior, to give them some interaction with animals. And I just, as much as I loved all of that and still do, and I miss it tremendously, I knew my animals were getting tired, even though I only worked them 2 days a week and never 2 consecutive days. Those were the parameters that I set to feel my animals were being very well looked after. So I thought, can I do this digitally? It's an ever-expanding digital landscape. Let me see if I can put them on the internet instead and still give people a fun experience. And it really resonated with people, my style of presentation, and everything just took off from there and has snowballed into something so much bigger than I ever could have imagined.
Yeah. In the UK, I know they had a lot of different animals. I've seen your, Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, everything. I love the flying foxes and the fruit bats and everything like that. I wish we could have them in New Jersey, but unfortunately. But what's the craziest, most rarest animal you've ever dealt with?
Oh, 2 of them come to mind. So I would normally say the Indian fruit bat, because they were actually a hybrid between Indian and Australian fruit bats. So I doubt that most people would ever see them again. And they were the size of a bowling pin. They were really cool. The other species that I worked with that very many people loved and was very rare was a raccoon dog. And a lot of people don't even know what a raccoon dog is. You have to imagine the size and body of a miniature pig, maybe in like the 160 to 200 pound weight, but with the face of a raccoon.
Wow.
And with the face of a dog. They're actually originally from Asia, and they've made a natural progression through Asia, through Eastern Europe, all the way into Western Europe. And they're actually a very popular pet now in the UK. So they are quite a handful. If you literally just imagine the size of a Labrador dog, but with the face of a raccoon and with a lot of the tendencies of a raccoon, they are insane. They're also known by another name, which is the tanuki. So a tanuki is the appropriate name, but they're known as raccoon dogs. And then one other animal, so a bonus third animal that I worked with that was very rare, was an animal called the spring hare. And a lot of people don't know what a spring hare is. So they're actually spelled spring hare, but spring hare is the pronunciation. And they look like the face of a jackrabbit with the body of a kangaroo and the tail of a fox.
Wow.
They are incredible.
And where are those guys from?
I believe they're from Africa.
Okay. I'm going to look that up too.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Nice. And what do you miss most about the UK?
I actually miss being able to feed my reptiles locusts, because they are incredible feeders and they are slow moving. They climb, making them such a great food source for a lot of the arboreal species of lizard. So I actually really miss that. Other than that, being in Massachusetts is very similar to the UK. So it actually feels very, very similar, and I don't miss too much else other than the free healthcare, which was very nice.
Not in the U.S.
Not in the USA.
Yeah, and how do you like Massachusetts?
Oh, I adore it. I was in Colorado for a number of years where they have over 300 days of sunshine. And that was just rude. It was too much for me. I need the darkness. I need the rain and the cold. And where better than Massachusetts? So I actually really enjoy it here.
Nice. Did you go to Salem yet?
No, not yet. But I have been told that now is actually a good time to go because the whole Halloween rush is done. And it's a good time to go now. So hopefully as the weather starts to warm up, I'll go and take a look at Salem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. Whoa, something fell.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's the greatness of shooting in store.
I love it.
Nothing crazy. Doesn't sound like a tank broke or anything. So what's next for Emzotics?
Oh, well, I'm actually working on my second book right now. So I came out with a book a few years ago called Animal Kind, which was very similar to like the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, where it's a compilation of stories that are about a certain topic. And for me, the topic that I looked at for my book was the amazing relationship between people and animals. So that's available on Amazon. You can look it up. It's Animal Kind by Emma Locke. Spelled like a door lock. And I'm also working on a complete overhaul of my merch line because, people just do t-shirts and hoodies and things. I want to do some really cool stuff. So I'm working on that, just really wearable fashions for people who love animals.
Let us know. We'd love to have it in the store.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, we'll definitely have to have a chat about that. That would be epic. And I'm also about to launch my very first beverage in collaboration with a coffee company called Cold Blooded Caffeine. Now, they typically do tea and coffee, but I don't drink tea or coffee. So we looked at hot chocolate. So I'm about to come out with a ferret-themed hot chocolate, which is really fun.
Nice. Oh, I got to look that up because I am addicted to caffeine, especially espresso, just black coffee. So there's definitely tea. There's definitely something for me there. Cold-blooded
caffeine.
Yeah. Oh, I love cold-blooded and I love caffeine. So that's awesome. But yeah, I'm definitely, we definitely want to look into that. But yeah, whenever you have your merch line up, let us know. We would love to carry it in the store.
Thank you. I would love that. I would be honored if you had anything of mine in your store.
Yeah. And I definitely want to sell some Zen habitats here because sometimes you get them like with the bearded dragon on donation. You're taking lots of reptiles. So I think a lot of people during COVID bought everything, reptiles, dedicated rabbits, and now we're getting so many animals back. But we adopt them out really quickly. But some of them come to Zen habitats, so I actually got to see them in person, and they're really nice. I like the black ones. So I definitely
fantastic.
I'll text you or call you later for that.
I would love that. We would be honored.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool. But I guess it's time for me to go, right?
Close it out,
Close it out. Okay. I guess it's time for me to go. But if anything, you're closer to me now, so we can stay in touch and definitely come to the store one day and you could sign like your book. We could put some stuff out, whatever, we want to help you out. And yeah, I'm sure you have tons of fans in New Jersey. So
that would be amazing, Megan. Thank you. And I just respect what you guys are all doing. You've been such a champion for, just elevating the standards of exotic pets in captivity. So, my hat's off to you and I will absolutely be in at my earliest convenience.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.